Yes!
Yeah, dude.
6
pounds, 11 ounces. Oh,
Oh my! Limp! That's what I've been waiting for all day.
that's over 6.
True. And that one's.
Oh, here he goes.
Go. Good.
That's a big fish.
Full hand on tail. Yeah, it looks sick. Good to go.
Look how broad that thing is.
I wonder if that was the one that followed me in.
Beautiful. Oh my God. Holy God. What a beast.
Oh wow. That might be a 4. That might be a 4.
Yeah, it's a 4. You guys show that off too. 4 pounds, 12 ounces. Holy.
Another good one.
Holy sh! What the? Is that another 6?
Could be.
It's the second giant of the day, proving that point. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yes!
Big baits, big fish. There we go. 5 pounds, 6 ounces. Beauty! Dude, I'm not even joking. It happened again.
Kidding me?
Nope.
Is it big?
Oh! That's strong.
Oh
Yeah,
wow.
That's a fat fish, dude.
4.
Holy. Dude. Holy hell, that's long.
Yeah, it is.
5, 4, 6. What?
Yeah. Just rock.
Got him. Get in here, you. There's another 6. You. That's a big fish.
6'10". Woohoo! Little fatty.
And there we are. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to our, again, regularly scheduled show. Now that we're back on normal schedule here, which is always a good thing. Oh, I hope everybody had a great this weekend. Fishing this past weekend, it was pretty damn good for us. Good numbers. One good one.
One good one.
Congrats again.
Thanks.
Mondo. I did not get a Mondo. I caught a lot, and they were all the same size.
Literally.
2.5 to 2 3/4. All 35 of them. Whatever it was, the total. Oh, but you know what? They were all healthy, and the first like 5 had me convinced they were 4 to 5 pounders. So that particular pond we were at, they were healthy, they were fighting great, and it was phenomenal. So hopefully everybody stumbled into the kind of same thing. But we're not going to do a full recap because I do want to get into it. We are joined tonight by Mark Burgess from Massachusetts, who is former Elite Series angler and winner of the most recent Bass Regional up on Lake Champlain. So everybody give Mark a warm welcome. And then I'm going to turn it over to Mark here to really properly introduce himself, share his social media and everything, and then we will get into it.
All right, man. That intro you guys have is dope.
Thank you.
No, man, I was just getting excited watching you guys catch those big fish. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I was jealous. That's awesome. But
well, it's like 3.5 years of highlights, so it's there's been enough highlights to make a good three-minute little montage there.
Yeah, no, nice job with that. Yeah, real nice job with that.
Thank you.
No, I appreciate you guys having me on. Yeah, Mark Burgess. Been fishing forever. When you think about it, 30 years tournament fishing. So that's I've been around for a while. Started saltwater fishing, at a young age, 4 years old with my dad, and transitioned over to freshwater in the early 90s. But yeah, it's been phenomenal. So can't wait to get into what went down up on Lake Champlain for sure. And I know that's what everybody's been communicating with me. My social media channels, YouTube, Big East Bass Fishing with Mark Burgess. My Facebook and Instagram, same thing. Big East Bass Fishing with Mark Burgess. And the comments have been, nonstop. How'd you do it? How'd it go down? What led up to it? It's just as we were talking, backstage there. I put up a lot of content from that week, and even prior to that week, a little pre-practice and practice, and then the tournament. So now that pretty much the cat's out of the bag, everybody knows, how it ended. I'm looking forward to talking to how it happened.
Nice, man. We're excited. I am
Yeah.
always infinitely curious to hear more details on any multi-day tournament. You know, one-day shootouts are also good and you can learn a bit from it, but to have sustained success over multiple days on a singular body of water, especially something as magical as Champlain, where it seems like anybody can go crack a 20-pound bag anywhere, so long as they have a modicum of skills and understanding. You know, it's beyond impressive what you were able to pull off against some absolute hammers up there too. So congrats to you again.
Well, thank you very much. That just made it that much sweeter. You know, I've always said, you know, I like fishing against the best competition that I can. And, you know, that really, you know, was no better competition than the Elite Series, that's for sure. But locally, these guys, the guys I fish with weekend in and weekend out, you know, on the Mass Bass Nation Pro-Am, I mean, are hammers. They take my money on a regular basis. Okay. So that gets old, you know, so we're all friends, you know, healthy competition. You know, when I beat them, it makes me feel good, you know, hey, you know, I beat some guys that, you know, that know their stuff. And then when I get beat by them, it's like, man, I got to be better. And we talk a lot amongst ourselves about how we make each other better. I think that's very important. But to your point, Champlain, winning the Bass Nation qualifier, that's an exclamation point on that point, if there ever was one. The top 20, you know, I know most of those guys, and I've fished with them, against them, been hanging around with them for a long time, and they're just absolute hammers there, you know. And you know, to come out on top against them really was very, very special, you know. And again, on Lake Champlain, of all lakes, you know. Love the lake, been fishing it for a long time, and you know, it's you know, I've had some moderate success, you know, but I've also had, you know, it handed to me as well. So, but you learn from all that. You learn from, the longer you fish, the more you learn, and you just take that into the next one, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can learn from anything, you know, especially winning. Obviously, you have to have done something really well to understand what went down, and you can learn from that. But some of those really bad days are some of the best teachers too. And I'm not sure how many
let's
people
not do that again.
Yeah, pretty much.
Right. Why do I keep doing it again?
I think the most common thing that we end up saying is, why the hell didn't we do this?
Then it's like, oh, I thought about it, but I never did it.
Yeah. You know, hindsight's 20/20, but I always say too, you know, to people, you know, don't be lazy, you know, and I say it to myself more than anything, you know, don't be lazy, you know, just make the run, tie on the bait, fish free from your gut, which is a whole lot easier to say than do. But yeah, when you have those instincts and they're talking to you, you know, you got to roll with it.
Yep, I hear that.
Yeah.
Well,
Good.
Before we get into the true nitty gritty of everything that went down, starting with the very beginning of your preparation for this tournament, why don't you bust out that sexy blue trophy over there and give everybody a little close up?
It's heavy. I'm gonna have to.
Go ahead.
Did you see me pick it up on? I thought I was gonna drop it.
Hey, well, it's funny. Every like tournament win you see these guys do, especially the classic, because the trophy's even bigger. They go to like, you know, take it from this to try and get their hands under, and almost everybody drops the damn thing. I'm like, God damn, that's a heavy trophy.
That'd be worse than dropping a fish, you know.
Seriously.
We've all done that. Let's see if I can keep from pulling the headset out while I get this. Here we go. Yeah.
We gotta make him bigger for this. Nope,
there you
not
go.
that one, Sean. Do it like that, but like that. There we go.
There it is, right there.
Hey.
Everything's opposite here.
Yep, that's beautiful.
Doesn't look bad.
No. You know, and I never even looked at it ahead of the tournament. Not one day.
I don't blame you. I mean, on the one hand, while it could be very motivating to be able to see it, on the other hand, I feel like that would be distracting for me.
Yeah, yeah, but I never even thought about looking at it. I didn't think, well, if I look at it, I'll jinx myself or anything. Nothing like that happened. It was there. I noticed all the trophies sitting there that they put them out ahead of each weigh-in. But the first time I actually got to see it was when he handed it to me. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
Not
yeah.
a bad problem to have.
No.
No, it's not. I'll take it.
Last point before we truly get started here, and then we're going to roll right into it. For everybody that is here watching, thank you very much. Greatly appreciate you as always. For everybody that shared the stream, whether it was on Facebook or Instagram, like, you guys are top tier. Awesome. Cannot express to you just how much we appreciate that help. If you want to do so, I put it in the chat both on Facebook and YouTube. There is a link to Mark's channel, so you can go ahead and at least subscribe to him there. And then towards the end, we'll get the links to all his other social media going up. But then specifically for this, for those that haven't done so, please drop a like, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. Either way, it helps immensely. And comments are always, always, always helpful for helping everything continue to grow. And kind of on that topic, that big hiatus I took was bad. It tanked the growth to 0. And it's okay. We'll get back to hopefully where we were before. Maybe not, maybe even a little better. I don't know. But it was a hard lesson learned, but sometimes work becomes more important than anything. So it is what it is. But enough of that. Mark, let's talk about everything that went into this on the preparation side. What was the very beginning point for you for getting prepared for this tournament?
Looking back on it, I would have to say it was when they announced the tournament, the 4 qualifiers that Bass was going to have in place of the regionals. And we can talk about that too a little bit later about why they did what they did. And I approve of it. I like the move they made. Not everybody did, and like I said, we could talk about that a little bit later. But so when they first announced where the 4 qualifiers were and when they were, I saw it was Lake Champlain in the middle of July. And I knew right away that was going to play for pelagic smallmouth and the guys that wanted a live scope. Yep. Everyone's eyes got opened up, last year. Everyone in the top 10 that's what they were doing. Trolling motor on high, looking for bait, looking for, single fish, and scoping, hunting them down and casting to them and catching them. And they really caught them last year in the Elite Series. And I expect to see a lot of that this year as well. They're going to start fishing tomorrow. So,
yep.
So that I said, in some of the interviews and on stage, that it's not my deal. However, I have live on my boat. I have Humminbird Mega Live on the boat. Excuse me. And I have Humminbird Mega 360 as well. I'm not opposed to the technology at all. Technology is everywhere in our life. It's just, you're going to have to adapt to it and learn it. And if you want to keep up, it doesn't matter what it is, relates to, but in fishing, that's what's happened. So I added it because it's just another tool, it gives me another option, the live. Now, I haven't really played around with it much. Like I said, I mean, the most I've gotten is I have seen a fish swimming and I have casted to it and I've seen my bait completely miss it by a mile and go the opposite way. So I've seen, so I'm looking forward to messing around with it more when I get onto some lakes that kind of lends itself to that technique. But so all that to say, I mean, that's not my strength. And in a tournament, any tournament, you go into that fishing your strengths. That's your highest chance of success is fishing your strengths. Okay, even if it's not the lake or the time of year, it's not lending itself to your strength. You'll catch them somewhere. I mean, you keep your bait, your technique, you keep that bait wet, and you do what you do, you'll get bit. So that was the first start of it. I was I did look at smallmouth. I did look for them traditional ways in the inland sea. A lot of the history that I have there, I went and looked and spent a day in the inland sea in official practice. And I couldn't get it going. And that, when you eliminate the inland sea for water, you just really put the focus on what you are fishing.
Yep.
And that's a big part of successful tournament fishing is having a confidence area, eliminating water, and really like rifle approach, really dialing into what you're going to do. And you do it to the best of your ability. So I went up for pre-practice 3 weeks ahead of the cutoff. They had a 2-week cutoff, July 6th. I know you guys can relate to this because I see you do it. I drove 4.5 hours up to Champlain to find 25 to 30 mile an hour wind with higher gusts and pouring rain. I fished for 3.5 hours, put it on the trailer, and drove 4.5 hours home.
Yep.
Yep. So it's not the first time I've done that, and it probably won't be the last. But some of my friends are like, "So what'd you learn?" At first you'd say, "Well, absolutely nothing," but that's not true. I did catch a few fish in some shallow grass, but I saw what the water level was, and I saw what the water temperature was. So that was a baseline. The following weekend was July 4th. Okay, and I drove up Old Dock 30 on July 4th, and I fished July 4th and 5th. That's when I put it together. As far as finding the areas I wanted to fish, which, I'll tell you right now, it was up in Missisquoi. It was basically, I was fishing Plattsburgh North. I also fished on the New York side a little bit in the gut. But it was Plattsburgh North. I wanted to stay in the north end of the lake.
Yep.
Even though they were catching the fire out of them down in Thai, if you've ever made that run, it's not something you want to do again.
No, I have never made the run because I never had a boat big enough until the Nitro Z21 that I have now. And looking ahead at BFL, so I was like, there is potential for that. No, I'm not going to do that.
It's brutal. It's brutal. Yeah, it can be really bad. Like not make it back, call for the trailer, bad.
Yeah.
So I wanted to stay in my confidence area, and I knew that would just increase the amount of time that I had to fish. And you guys know Champlain. There are a few days that you can move around.
Yep.
And the boats that we have now, you can get from point A to point B pretty quick, but there's a lot of times where you cannot. And you need to have a lot of fish located, as many fish as you can, schools as you can, in your confidence area, so that you can basically fish instead of run. And you can't run very fast, obviously. It can get so bad you're only going 20, 25, 30 miles an hour.
Right.
So it really cuts down the amount of fishing time you have. So during pre-practice, July 4th and 5th, I was up in Missisquoi, and I had about a half a dozen schools located. Just counting right now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fish, 6 schools located. And they were good fish. I also had fish located in 8 to 9 feet of milfoil as well. Really just a strong bite. Anywhere you could find milfoil in that 8 to 9 foot of water. Outside of the milfoil is where the coontail is, and that's 12 to 15 feet of water. That's typically where they go for the summer. They leave the milfoil and they'll go out into that coontail. So that's what I had as a starting point. I knew, what the water level was, and the lake happened to be up 2 feet at the time.
Yeah, which is crazy how fast it came up, from the remnants of that hurricane. That was nuts.
Yes. And with that, it was also a little off color. Pretty much the whole lake. Even the clear water had like little pieces of algae floating in. It wasn't a full-blown algae bloom, but it was.
It looked pretty damn close to it.
Yeah, that's because we were up there not maybe a week, I think. Yeah, the weekend after your event ended, and we kept running into that. We're like, and he was like, that looks like algae bloom.
Yeah.
And as soon as we hit like north of Butler, it was clean.
Yeah.
And then
Okay. Yeah. Inland Sea. Yeah.
and then as soon as we came around the top of Butler back towards the gut, then it started. You could see it all again.
Yeah. Yeah. And Missisquoi was horrible. So after the 4th and 5th, you know, with the schools I had located, going back up for official practice, you know, you're going to check that stuff, right? You're going to run all that stuff. So I ran right up to Missisquoi, and it was the worst looking water I have ever seen in my life. The brownish color was something I'd never seen before, and it was mixed with a big time algae bloom, like green mixed in with the horrible brown. And I'm not really afraid of off color water, dark water. I like it really, but not to that degree. And where it happened seemed like it happened real quick. Obviously, it wasn't like that 2 weeks prior.
Yeah.
So I went through the motions, checking all those schools up in Missisquoi, and they were gone. Gone.
Wow.
Yeah. And, you know, that's a process. It takes hours, you know. So now typically they move, you know. I mean, fish swim and they'll move, and they're moving because of the water level. It started to come down, actually. The water level came down about 7 inches during the tournament. But, you know, bait affects that. You know, just a lot of things affect that. So I started searching shallower, deeper. I'm like, well, I mean, those fish that were in the 8 to 9 feet of milfoil most likely moved out to the 12 to 15 feet of grass, you know, the coontail. That's where they go. They're probably there right now. Nope, couldn't get bit. I mean, I'd say couldn't get bit. I'm catching a 2 pounder here or 2.5 pounder there, but the 4s and 4 pluses were gone. They couldn't get bit by a big fish. You know, so there was one spot in Missisquoi though where they were still there, and you know, I rigged up a little bait. The bait I was throwing, I rigged without a hook, a little screw lock in the nose of it with the you know, same weight, same hook, you know, same line, everything, and it was just boom, boom, you know, and so they were there. So I felt real comfortable about that school of fish. You know, and I went through the motions. You know, like I said, I spent a day in the inland sea looking for smallmouth, and you know, a little bit on the New York side. You know, fished some stuff that I've been wanting to fish for a while, and you know, I started to put together more schools of fish. Part of the success came on docks, and I ran several stretches of docks. And those fish were only 2.5 pounds. But I figured, well, if I need them, they're there. You know, that's a place that I know I can go and fill out a bag if I need to. You know, so that's kind of where I was. You know, going into the first day of the tournament. So I was fishing Missisquoi. I was also fishing the railroad bridge.
Yep.
And they were stacked on that. But I wasn't fishing in a traditional sense. I was talking to people about, you know, high risk, high reward. There was a lot of 4-pound smallies on it. And the only way I could get them to bite was burn a square bill through that stuff. And I proceeded to lose like 4 $35 no longer made square bills.
Oof.
Oh no.
To not only the bridge,
Pike.
but to fish that pulled me back into the bridge. Because when you have a 4-pound smallie on, you know, and I mean, even though you got a cranking rod, I mean, you'll pull those hooks right out, you know.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thumbing it, you know, I'm giving them line so the hooks don't pull out, but yet trying to not so much line that they're going to go back into the bridge, which a couple of them went back into the bridge. So I lost a bunch of tackle there, and that whole thing is covered with zebra mussels.
Zebra mussels, and there's
Flog 'em,
submerged
yeah.
timber, you know, cross member beams that you can't see, and there's like iron that's cross membered. It's it's a disaster there. You're lucky if you can even get something through without getting hung up on the way down.
Yes. Yeah.
Mhm.
So after burning through a bunch of those square bills, I switched to a chatterbait, jackhammer,
Yep.
that I could, half ounce that I could burn, and they ate that too. But as soon as as soon as that thing comes into contact with any wood, the way it's designed, it turns right into it. It's great for hooking fish, but it's also great for hooking that timber that you can't see
Yep.
as well. So that was in the rotation um, as well. That bridge, but in the long run during the tournament, it was virtually unfishable. The south wind was so strong that it was pushing. I had to fish on the opposite side that I like, and it wasn't creating helping to create current. Like that lake flows north to south, and that creates current through there, and that's why they feed. But so when the south wind blows against it, it's slowing that current, and they're not as into feeding as they usually are. So it was difficult to fish because of the wind, and it also hurt the current. So that did not play for me, during the tournament.
Gotcha.
Yeah, yeah. So that was kind of like what I went into the tournament with. Were the schools of fish I had up in Missisquoi and stretches of docks and some stuff over the New York side. So first day. Now I'm also leaving out a little bit of challenges that I had in practice. And probably saw that in some of the videos. But
Oh yeah, I did.
first day, second day of practice. I mean, I put in a super long day the first day, which I told myself I wasn't going to do, but I did. And I was tired, and I did not put fuel in the boat at the end of the first day of official practice.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. So a lot of things led to this that I figured out. So I didn't put fuel in the boat at the end of that day, and I didn't put fuel in it in the morning because I looked at the fuel gauge and it said half a tank. Okay. Now I've had 25 skeeter boats, and no exaggeration, in my time, and they all had 55 gallons of fuel. This new skeeter has 44, like bone dry. 42.
Really?
Yes. Okay. Yes, and that's my bad for not knowing that. That's just ignorance on my part. Didn't realize, because down here, and the other thing that plays into it too, guys, is that where I live, I mean, I fish puddles. Mallett's Bay is bigger than every body of water we fish Bass Nation Pro.
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, if you stuck to just everything you fish in New Hampshire, kind of like we do here in southern New Hampshire, one tank of gas lasts me the whole year. And the only time I need to refill is if I go to anything like any one of the 6 lakes in the lakes region or Champlain. Like it's the only way I burn through gas.
Yeah, so that played into it too, because I only had 10 gallons here, 10 gallons there when I'm down home fishing. So
I will be right back. Keep going.
You keep going. All right. So I ran out of fuel second day of practice, but at first, even though it did act like it ran out of fuel, it coincided with the tattletale, the little pisser out of the outboard, wasn't pissing, wasn't tattletaling. So I didn't know if one thing had anything to do with the other until I went back and I'm squeezing the primer ball and there's nothing there. So I'm like, well, I ran out of fuel.
Yeah.
So here I am.
Before.
Yeah, I mean, I've never done it before, and hopefully it won't happen again. So I'm sitting there going, all right, what are my options? Cary Bay was about 4 miles away.
Jesus.
Yeah, right. So at least I'm going with the wind. The wind was at my back. So I'm sitting there going, okay, what are my options? Maybe I can, call somebody and bring me some fuel or something like that. Call the wife. Her and Lisa and Dakota were up there with me. And I see a boat coming the opposite direction and hauling the mail too. I'm like, well, I'm not going to flag him down. He's going 1,000 miles an hour the opposite direction. Well, it turned out to be Mike Mello from the Real Deal.
Oh,
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah, him and Boom Man. So Boom Man was with him, and they see me, they start waving, and I wave back, and Boom Man notices that I'm like, I'm going like this. So
Yeah,
they
the
come over.
two-hander's never a good thing.
Right, right. So they come over, and sure enough, agree, or I'm out of fuel. So they start towing me, and they towed me for about a mile, which seemed like it took a long time.
Mm.
So Mike says, "Hey, why don't I just run and get you some fuel?" So I gave him like $21, cash I had, and they ran down into that marina just inside Cary Bay when you go in the cut to the right.
Yep.
Got a jug. They let him borrow a jug, filled it up, ran back. I was on the trolling motor, hard going their way, and sure enough, put the fuel in it. Boom, pumped the ball. Boom, fired right up. Still had no tattletale, but now I got fuel. At least rule that out. And had plenty of water pressure though. So ran down there, got enough fuel to get me through the day, and we were off to the races. So that was the second day of official practice. So third day, again, just trying to get more schools of fish. Because on Champlain, like I talked about, with the wind, if you can't run around, you have to have a confidence area.
Mm-hmm.
You catch fish anywhere in that lake. You pull up to grass, any weeds at all, and you're going to catch them. You're going to catch them. You come outside that weed edge, throw a Sanko or a spook or something like that. You're going to catch them. So, but to have an area that has fish in it, just is that much better. So, I'm continuing to expand what I got going north of Plattsburgh. So about towards the end of the day, about 3:30, I had caught I had hooked a smallie, and had the bait deep, and so I had it over the side of the boat. It was bleeding a little bit, and I didn't want it to die, so I was taking my scissors. I was cutting the plastic away from the bait, the trailer off the jig, so I can get a better look at how the hook was in it, so I can see what I had to do: crush the barb, pull it back out, cut it off, whatever the situation was going to be.
Right.
And it shook its head, and my best pair of scissors flies out of my hands and sinks to the bottom. Right, see ya. So, man. So okay, so I decided my wife and Dakota are up there, and they're out and about, right? So I call her to in her travels if she can pick me up a quality pair of scissors, one that'll cut braid,
Yeah.
So she answers the phone. She had been over in Burlington and had the parking lot that she was at had double charged the credit card for parking.
Ugh.
And then when she was gone, she came back to a citation, which wasn't cheap, that she hadn't paid at all or was there longer than she paid for. So all that is wrong. So she's telling me that. And so I was like, all right, we'll figure that out. Don't worry about it. We'll get it done, and no sooner did I hang up the phone with her, I go to pull up the trolling motor. Pow. Pop the cable.
No.
It's deployed. Yeah.
No.
And the trolling motor is in the water. It's deployed.
Oh no.
Yeah. Yeah. So Ultrex, So like, okay. Don't panic. All right.
Starting
Assess
to
the
panic.
situation. Yeah, right. So there's a small little marina not too far away. I troll over to that, pull up to the end of their dock, and so I start looking at it, and I can see the little anchor piece at the end. I carefully get that out, and then I can see how the mechanism works. I have a big long pair of needle nose pliers. I push on that, and it unlocks it. And so I push on that and get over it because it's heavy. Pull it up, and I stow the trolling motor. So at least now I can run, and then I can work on fixing this thing, when I get back. So that was another little setback. So I worked on that.
Yeah, another one.
Another one, right? It was a few, and anyone who knows me knows my stuff's tight. You know what I mean? I go over my equipment. I have a spare for the spare. So I went back to, we were staying at Marine Village Cottages, a great place to stay in Plattsburgh there.
Yep.
And go back and I take it all apart and I see what the deal is and I think I fix it. So Tuesday morning was the last. It was a half day of practice. We had to be off the water at noon.
Yeah.
So I get down, boat ramps right around the corner. So launched the boat. I figured I'd test it, and it's a good thing I did because I didn't run anywhere. It's broken. I still got to go through the same process to pull the trolling motor up, put it back on the trailer, bring it back to the house, and then I spend Tuesday morning taking it all apart and putting it and fixing it and putting it back together. So
I know how that is.
yeah, and my wife even commented, "Boy, you seem awful calm about all this stuff." And I'm like, "What are you going to do?" I'm looking at the positive side of things. That this stuff happened in practice, didn't happen during the tournament.
Right. It already happened. There's nothing to worry about except
Right.
just
Right.
fixing it and getting it done.
Yep, and that whole process is easier when you're on some fish, and I knew I was on a good school of fish, So that has something to do with making it all better, when you definitely have fish to run to,
Long story short, he ran out of gas. His trolling motor broke, and
Oh, trust me, I saw it
Okay.
all on
Lost
Facebook.
it.
I knew what was coming.
Yeah, so that was a little adversity ahead of the tournament. But first day of the tournament, I was alone. I did not have a co-angler, and so I ran right up to my spot and did not get off to a good start. My first flip was a heavy fish, and this is the spot that I caught the 6'4" and 2 5s off of, and also all the heavy 4s, and a lot of heavy 3s, 3 3/4, 3 9/8, stuff like that, fish like that. Ended up catching over 13 fish. I think I figured it was 13 fish off one log.
wow.
Damn.
Yeah, so I run right to that log, okay, and I know you can probably agree with that, right? So first fish I hook is a heavy fish, and like in pre-practice, same thing happened. I hooked a heavy fish and it got up under the log, but I landed it. This fish pulled off. So first flip, first bite, heavy fish, pulls off. All right, shake it off. Right, fix everything up. Boom, pitch in there again. Lose another one.
Ooh.
2 in a row off the juice, which that's not a good thing because they go down there. They do. I associate it with like what bees do. They do some kind of little jig or gives off some kind of a chemical.
No, they
You know what I mean?
they
Like-
go down there and like,
Yeah.
get the f out of here.
Scatter!
Yeah, it's like a deer with a flag. You know what I mean? See it.
Yeah.
Warning.
Yeah.
So I leave that and I run the rest of the stuff and I put 3 decent fish in the boat. I come back to the log, boom, finish out the limit. Okay, so I got about a 15-pound limit at that time. And I run the rest of my stuff and I get up, I cull to 17.5 pounds, 17 pounds, 6 ounces, which I'm disappointed. I know it's right there. Like years ago, we were talking, my buddies and I were talking, years ago, if you caught 15 pounds, you stubbed your toe. Okay, you needed a 17.5 pound to 18-pound average on Champlain in a multiple day tournament to do well.
Yep.
Okay, but things have changed, as you guys know.
Oh, yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
the fish are bigger. There's more of them. I mean, that body of water has more 4-pound fish in it than any place in the country. I guarantee it. Top 3, fishery in the country for sure.
Yep.
So, man, I was bummed out. So I weigh 17.6, but I'm in like 32nd or 33rd place, not far out of the top 20. So going into the tournament, top 20 was my goal. Okay, and as tournament anglers, every tournament I enter, I think I could win and I want to win, but you have to be a realist and reevaluate, the process and where you're at to reality. what you can do based on what you found in practice and all that. So then the goal really became the top 20. Okay, so I wasn't far out of the top 20, and I knew I did the math, and I figured I needed a bag that weighed 18 and a half. So if I catch 18 and a half, I'd be bubble boy. Okay, but as long as I was in the top 20, I'd make the cut, qualify for the nationals, and have a chance to move up and make more money.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the plan. So the second day of the tournament, I had a co-angler, Kevin. Guy knows his way around tournament fishing. Just phenomenal angler, just even a better guy. Okay, just blessed to have him on the boat. He gets it. He understands the whole relationship. I did not have to have the conversation with him about unwritten rules between boater and non-boater.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he didn't have a good first day, which also played into it too. So he would have had to have a monster bag, which he could have caught, but basically was completely helpful. And like I said, just understood the whole process. And so ran up there, and my first 5 ran right to the bridge. I didn't have enough punishment and lose enough baits. So
I'm feeling pretty good today. Let's go burn $100 in baits in 10 minutes.
I mean,
Let's go
right,
pick everything up.
right. And I honestly, I don't mind telling you, I wasn't laying up a little bit, but kind of. It was like I knew the bridge. If I could line 5 4-pound smallies up, I'd have 20 pounds and be in good shape. That's how the thing was loaded. But it was horrible. I mean, it was even worse the second day. So he ended up putting 3 fish in the boat behind me, but he was fishing differently. I would have never caught those fish. He was flipping a black blue jig on the outside of those pylons, which he lost. I don't know how many jigs. Okay, which is I can't imagine what that thing looks like.
Yeah,
under the water. But I had one decent smallie, looked like to be maybe a 3. Swim out to eat my chatterbait and grab the very back of it, just the trail. It did not get the business end. I made one full pass, and I thought to myself, I said, well, you don't get these opportunities very often. The wind was howling, and I knew I was going to be going further away from the weigh-in, and I knew that ride back was going to be brutal. But I didn't care. It was just like I have to go. So I went to my fish in Missisquoi, pulled up.
Already that far, might as well
Right,
make the
exactly. It's just they gave us permission to run up into Canada and then come back into the U.S. You could do that because you can't if you try to stay in the U.S. you're going to take your lower unit off.
Yeah.
It's just, and as it was, even running around it, you're running by snags and stumps and stuff like that. So I just made a decision. I said, you know what? I got nothing to lose. I figured I might have burned it up there a little bit. I really didn't know. The key was, though, that was the only clear water that I could find. And apparently the bass found it as well because it reloaded. I mean, hard. My first 5 flips, I had almost 19 pounds in the boat.
Damn.
Hell yeah.
So we fished a little bit more of it, and I had a good bag, and I had just enough time to run back down and fish a stretch of docks. That stretch of docks I talked about earlier that had 2.5 pounders on it. Now had a 5 and a 4.
Nice.
Right?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah. One of the fish, so I ended up culling up to, and I did on Bass Track, I kind of sandbagged that day. I didn't, and I was kind of up against it. I knew I had a good bag going, and it was one of those deals where it takes a little time to do that process, and enter it into Bass Tracks, and I just left it at 15 pounds, and I ended up with 21 pounds 15 ounces.
Damn.
Yeah.
Hell of a
So,
day.
yeah. So it's, I told when, I mean, you're never sure, you're never sure, but, um, I knew what it was, I knew it was almost 22-pound bag. And, when my wife came down, when I pulled up to the dock, I told her, I said, "You start packing for Oklahoma." And I was pretty confident that that was going to get me into the top 20. Um, I didn't realize it would put me to 7th,
Yeah.
you know. And if you're a numbers guy, I was boat 77, flight 7, boat 7 on the last day. Yeah.
That's awesome. Actually,
Yeah.
I like,
Yeah.
for lack of a better way to put it, coincidences like that.
Yes.
That's just awesome.
Yeah. So that current, yeah. So the first day I was boat 77 and flight 7, and then the last day I was boat 7. So then I ended up the third day, made the cut, 7th place, and I saw I was only a pound and a half out of the lead, and with that place reloading the way it did, now I'm down to 3 places, like all the places I had in pre-practice and practice, multiple day tournaments. It just keeps getting, tighter and tighter and tighter. It's just more information every day.
Yeah.
And it just gets stronger. You just know what moves to make, or you feel what moves to make, and you make them. I only had 3 spots that I wanted to hit, and so that last day, I ended up getting paired with we call him Sanko Sammy. He's a guy that's co-angler here and fishes Mass Nation, fishes with Mike Mello a lot. And I've fished with Sammy an awful lot. We fish great together. I've won a bunch of tournaments with him on the boat, and and him as well. He's won on my boat, and so we fish well together. He's just a great guy to hang, spend a day in a boat with, for sure. And so we're paired together, and he launches me. Everything's good, right? It's I mean, I'm down to 1 power pole because I took it off the boat. I think I left that pot out, didn't I?
Yeah,
I
you
Yeah,
did.
you did. Yeah. What happened to that?
Oh yeah. So let me back up a little bit. So
Amongst
second day,
storms.
second day of the tournament, we get up to that spot, and I power pole down on it, and unbeknownst to me, only the port side pole went down. Right side pole didn't go down. The starboard side, and so I go to leave, pull up the pole, and Kevin says, "Hey, your power pole's still down." So I'm like, "All right, well, I keep hitting the button, hitting the button, hitting the button. I can hear the motor running. It's not working." So I go back, and the bolts had all come out of the back at the bottom hinge where it hinges.
Yep.
Oh.
They all fell, and it just can't. It won't come up. It just can't get the right, alignment, to the fulcrum, to fold up, right? So the only thing I could do is cut the hose, relieve the pressure. Took a line, a rope with my rod tip, passed it through the end of the power pole, wrapped it up, pulled it up, and tied it off. It looked like a schooner, with ropes hanging off the thing, and yeah, it wasn't pretty. So yeah, that was another mishap. So the hardware all came out of that power pole. But I left there with a good bag, and actually it was 19 pounds that I had, and a good friend of mine, unbeknownst to me, was also fishing it. So I took all those fish, all that weight. He came in. I was culling and had 19 pounds when he came in, and he asked me if I'd been here, every day. I said, "Yep, every day, all day." It wasn't all day, but that's why I said, "Yep, every day, all day." And he stayed on one side, I stayed on the other, and he caught a few, and I ended up leaving and making a run over to the New York side. Again, it was the last Friday was flat. If it wasn't for the cruiser boats, there wouldn't have been any wakes at all, no waves at all. You could go any way you want, as fast as you wanted to. And so that's what I did. I ran down the passage, cut through, back up, and over to the New York side to fish one tree. And there's 2 trees there. One looks like it should hold hundreds of bass. The other one doesn't look like it should hold any bass, and that's the one that's got the 4-pounder on it. The one that doesn't look like it should, So go figure. But so I run over there and put a 4-pounder in the boat, cull, and then I run down on my stretch of docks. Now this whole time, now I'm just heading back. I run to my set of docks and put 2 more big fish in the boat. I had a smallmouth that was not liking being in the live well. Never mind having a cull tag on it. It was very much alive, but not. It was bumming out. And so the last big fish I caught, I looked at my scale. It said I had to cull number 1, and I told Sammy, I said, "Man, please let it be that smallmouth, because I don't know if it'll last until the weigh-in." And sure enough, open the live well, that smallmouth's on number 1.
Nice.
And so cull him out and get up to my scale said like 22. It reads differently than the Bass's scale, but like 22.7 something, or 3/4, so it ended up being 22.12, when I weighed in. But everything was perfect, that last day. And I left out probably one of the funniest parts of that last day, which I don't know if you saw on the video. So when I launched the boat, everything was fine, as I mentioned, and so Sammy comes down the dock. I pick him up, and we're doing our thing, getting ready for takeoff. And where there's only 20 boats, Bass likes to check you in ahead of time, just so everything goes smooth, So I'm pulling up to the dock, and they go, "Mark, turn your running lights on." Look down at the switch. Lights on. Look up. Back, the stern lights on. They go, "No, you don't have any running lights. No red and green light."
Oh no.
Oh yeah. So sure enough, go up there, put my hand in front of it. Nope, not working. Oh. I feel the lens is cracked, and I look at it, and there's a little moisture in there. I'm like, oh man.
Oh no.
Oh no. Right. So I have a spare for everything, and I have a spare for the spare. I have a spare stern light in the boat, but I don't have a spare bow light in the boat. Like, oh man, what am I gonna do? So I'm starting to see if I can fix it. I'm gonna take the electronics. The mount I have flips back. You take 4 screws out, and it flips back, opens up the compartment. You can get to all your wires under there. So I got the Allen wrench out, and I'm starting to do that. And Sammy says, "There's an app for that." App for what? Running lights. I'm like, "No, there's not. They don't have an app for that." "Yeah, there's an app for that." He pulls it up his phone. "Look." "No way. Get it." So it's not free. It's $1. I got to give him my credit card. Down the phone, right? And then I have to text my wife saying, "We're not being scammed." I had to talk later, but I had to use it
this.
for right. So because what is it, Capital One? We you get notified whenever the cards used, right? So he downloads the app, and I don't have any tape, so I have this Velcro stuff. I wrap rods up and stuff like that. So we strap it, and it's real sketchy. Okay, we strap it to the front of the trolling motor, come back around, and you can just see the look on Bass's, all the officials. They're talking to each other and stuff. And they're like, "All right," and then they look at it and they go, "You need some tape?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be great." So they have some electrical tape, and there's a strip right in the middle of the app. There's a black strip right down the middle. So we taped it on that strip to the front of the trolling motor. Yeah. I don't know how long it would have lasted if it stayed there, but you're supposed to keep your lights on until you get to your first spot, so it wasn't.
Wait, really?
It was. Yeah.
I did not know
So,
that. That's just like a Bass rule.
I've never seen it in writing, but that's what they want. They want you to keep it on until you get to your first spot.
Oh
Maybe
crap! Now I gotta make sure I have my
maybe it's just a recommendation.
white light.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah. So now I'm going to they sell one with a little C-clamp, runs on batteries. I'm going to get
there
one,
you go.
and I'll keep that in the boat. So my first spot ended up being and we didn't really fish there that long. As a matter of fact, I didn't make a cast. The seawall outside of Plattsburgh.
Yep.
Yeah, that was where we stopped, and so we were good to go. I told him I was going to buy him a new phone if it fell off, but we took the phone off, and yeah, it was just a magical day. Ran right to the juice, put him in the boat, went to a couple places that I wanted to, like over on that New York side of that tree, and then back to that stretch of docks, and yeah, just put him in the boat and just had that awesome bag. I knew it, that it would be, doing the math with what the other guys had. If they had pretty much close to the same, I knew I'd have a shot. But if they put a bigger bag in the boat, because there was a 24-pound bag weighed the first day.
Yeah, it was a Mondo bag.
Yeah. So it's possible. You line them up, and it can happen. And I knew that people would be able to fish wherever they wanted to fish, like I did. They'd have the same opportunity. So it's conceivable that you'd see some really big bags come in, and we just ended up. I was the first one to weigh in. Took the hot seat. Both of us, actually, Sam and I, took the hot seat and waited out 19 guys. For the win. So it was pretty cool.
That's awesome. Well, congrats again.
Yeah.
On a hell of a tournament.
Thank you.
Hell of a
Thank you very
story.
much.
Yeah.
It's like, now you know why I had so much content. And as you know, a lot of it doesn't make the cut. You're editing a lot of it out.
Oh yeah.
Just trying to get to. But I want to try to tell a story through the videos. Best I could, just for the experience. So.
Yep.
So, yep.
That is friggin' awesome. I am beyond excited for you. I'm stoked for you. And then you get to go to nationals too, which remind me again when that is. I know it's on Grand Lake, but I don't remember when.
First week of November.
Nice. Have you ever been out there?
I've been to it once, but I can't really say that I've spent any time fishing on it.
Yep.
I've fished in that area a bunch, Arkansas River and places like that, Muskogee, but not that actual lake.
Yeah.
But I've been close to it, so I've fished some Oklahoma lakes. It's great fishing. It's from what I know about it, doesn't have any grass in it.
So probably just all rock and brush pile?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So, basically doing, my research for that, and, have my sights set on trying to pull a top 3 out of that. That's the goal. So I've already, I've got the license, I've got my accommodations. I got a paper map, I got the chip. So I'm just starting to, put all the pieces together. I'm going to put a big order in with Ben's Tackle Shack.
Oh yeah.
For what I think I need. And it's just more, baits specific to, what I think I'm going to fish out there, and what the watercolor is. And again, I'm fishing my strengths, so you won't find me down by the dam with a drop shot or, a little minnow, so that'll give you an idea of what my plan is. But yeah, that's what I'm going to, going to drive out. I think it's the 31st, Halloween. It's a 2-day drive. I've done that a bunch of times. So drive out there, Thursday, Friday. First day of practice is Saturday. We're off on Wednesday. They're going to have a dinner banquet type thing.
Yep.
And then, fish Thursday, Friday, Saturday. No, excuse me. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Tuesday's the off day. Yeah. So fish on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Drive home Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
I love it.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. It's been a long time coming. I mean, through Mass Bass Nation, I've made numerous state teams.
Yep.
Which I'm proud of. But you had to be first on your team to go to the nationals. And the early on, I fished the Ohio River out of New Martinsville, West Virginia, and was second place behind Mike Tamarello. And I learned a big lesson in that event. I'm I'll talk about that in a second. And then the next one was up on Sebago. I was second behind Josh Codier. And then last year, Potomac River, which I love, I was second behind Mike Mello.
Yeah.
So fourth time is the charm. It's I like the product. I like what they've done. Not a lot of people share that same opinion. They liked it the way it was. With the qualifying through the clubs, and you have the team. It went from top 10 to top 20. 10 and 10 rather than 5 and 5. But this. I mean, I miss that format too, as far as the camaraderie goes. And being a team, and making a state team, and having the team jersey and all of that. But it really wasn't much of a team because in essence, you can work together to a point, but only to a point.
Right.
Because then you're helping someone else beat you to go to the nationals.
Yep.
So it was just a weird format. Just a strange format. And they want to try to make a better product with more anglers for the sponsors. So that's why they went to the 4 qualifiers. Throughout the country, try to increase the you didn't have to belong to a club; you just belonged to a nation, and sign up that way. So they did end up with more boats. They started with about 150. Normal regionals about 130. Although they did have 32 boats drop out after the first day.
Yeah, I heard. I saw not only your boat, I saw Sharon's boat. There was somebody else too. I can't remember now. But yeah, just from a handful of people right at the top of my feed, flipping over Facebook at the end of the day and seeing the massacre, I was like, oh God.
Mm-hmm.
I was sending it real hard.
And I never took one wave over the bow from the weather. I did take a big wave over the bow, going through the cut at the gut, idling. I was looking at my electronics and seeing which way the wind was coming, and whether I had to run straight across and run up the New York shoreline, or stay on the island, side, and try to get up above Cumberland Head and then turn and run the trough in. So I was focused on looking at the electronics and paying attention to the wind. A wakeboard boat came through the cut at the same time, and he was idling.
Plow? Oh, he was idling?
Idling. But the thing had to have all the ballast tanks full. This thing was throwing like a 4-foot wake.
Oh my God.
Completely over the bow. And again, I'm idling.
Right.
Filled the boat to the bottom of the seats.
Jesus.
They're waving. They have no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
most of them don't.
None. I'm just like, oh my God, bilge pumps don't fail me now,
Yeah.
Right.
So it wasn't, I've been running that kind of water for a long time, Erie and Ontario, and you can't tear your stuff up, you just got to take your time. Right. And even with that, stuff was breaking. So
right.
And having everything squared away ahead of time. But back to that new Martinsville, West Virginia deal. I was on winning fish there, no doubt. And in the pool we were launching, plus the next pool up, but really far up near Wheeler, I was on the mother load, but it was running through 2 locks, locking twice, almost 100 miles up.
Oof.
Yeah. We had a fog delay, and your ego. I mean, guys. I mean, I don't know. Sometimes what we're thinking, but.
Mm-hmm.
I could have stayed right there and accomplished the goal, which was to go to the nationals. Had enough fish easily to do that. The tournament was won from the captain for the West Virginia state team with 10 pounds.
Oh, wow.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, things just didn't work out. I made long runs. And now I just realized I have run out of fuel before, because I ran out of fuel there.
Oh,
Yep. Ran out of fuel there. Yep. Had to leave the boat, ride in with another angler. Second day, they closed the lock 15 minutes early, and I lost my weight that day. Yeah. That one bag that day would have won the tournament.
Damn.
Yeah,
That's rough.
Yeah, that was tough. And I talked to the lock master. He said he didn't see anybody coming, so he closed it 15 minutes earlier than so he closed it like at 1:15 instead of 1:30.
What the hell?
Yeah, so I offered him
Nobody's
100.
coming. Why?
Right. Well, he doesn't know how many people were there, So
What? Regardless,
more.
that's the whole purpose of a
I mean,
schedule.
I know, Yep. But and nevertheless, it happened. I offered him $100 to get into the lock next to him, next to the one that was closed, that all the competitors were in, was open, but it had a barge in it. It was already pushed in straight, and the tug was in the back, so there was room. I could have gone in, but he said that the boat would have got tossed around like a cork when the tug went to go push out.
Oh, yep.
So it was too dangerous. Yeah. So then third day ended up catching a fish. Weighed more than Mike's, but then he caught his second fish, and then so he ended up going to the nationals. And the lesson learned is just stay focused. The mission at hand. I knew I could win the tournament. I just didn't anticipate, running out of fuel and getting stuck outside the lock and, all the, stuff that out of your control,
Right.
So I learned, just got to keep the goal in focus and, don't get too greedy,
Yep.
Yeah.
I hear that. Hey, man, that is definitely one big part of the reason why I ended up being late to the BFL last year. I lost 2 big fish, and I felt good that I was like on the cusp. So I pushed it to the last minute, literally. I mean, to the last second, and I would have made it back on time if I didn't blow my motor after I got around Cumberland Head. Halfway from Cumberland Head to the check-in boat is where I blew my motor. Boat shut down, and I was able to get it fired back up eventually and limp in the rest of the way. And I was 2 minutes late. And I remember going back, and at that point, all the GoPros were dead, but my mic was still going. So I saw the time from when everything crapped out, and I swore violently, to when I heard, me talking to the guy checking in. It was 2 minutes. I was like, God damn it.
2 pounds.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's whatever. I ended up finishing 50 something. It would have been 30 something. So still not a great finish, but certainly, I mean, I had the weight. I was still pretty happy overall for my first big tournament. But,
Absolutely. Yeah.
And just getting out of your own head a little bit, trying to make some magic happen, and really just not needing to push it to that last second. In the end, worked out for me. I ended up getting the boat I've always wanted, so there's that. But I had to blow my motor and lose 2 pounds of my weight in order to get that. But it's all right. It all worked out in the end.
Yeah, you look at the positive side of things, just like you did. That's the way you have to look at it. It just wasn't meant to be, and good things came from it. But if you play this game long enough, and stuff like that's going to happen. It's just part of it. It's just if it happens during a tournament, that's that's just a tough break.
Or you could do what I did: buy a boat with a blown motor.
Yeah.
Yeah, just get that right out of the way.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now I got a brand new motor with 0 hours on it.
There you go. See, there's the positive side of that right there. Yeah.
I bought my first boat, and the motor's blown.
And the motor's blown. Hey. As long as you got a good deal on it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's good. That's what
One
counts.
question from the chat that Boat Potato asked was, did you end up weighing in any smallies at all, or is it all largies?
Believe it or not, I thought it was all largemouth, but I noticed when I was doing the video for the first day, there was a smallmouth in that bag.
Aha.
So the smallmouth were mixed in with the largemouth where I was fishing a little bit. I believe because of the clear water. It was just so nasty up there that that's why some smallmouth moved in there as well. And that was that's why 17.6. So the second and third day, I was able to cull smaller fish out to get to that bigger weight. But there was one, but it was caught. He was hanging out with the largemouth. And like I said on stage, I don't know. I firmly believe I caught the fish that pulled off the second day.
I
Second
believe it.
and or
Oh,
third day. Yeah, you know what I mean? Because, well, I mean, there were so many fish there, so possibly not. But when you make the same exact presentation, same exact pitch, same exact spot, and this time, you know, the 6'4" bites and loads up. He's down under the log digging me. Only he comes out and he's hooked real well, and I lip him.
Yep.
You know, so I don't. You know, that could have happened either day. You know, if I didn't, those two big fish didn't pull off the first day. Maybe they pulled off the second day, but you know, that's just the kind of way it unfolded. You know,
Yep.
you know, and I talked, you know, in the videos, you know, I talked about, you know, fishing my strengths and being in my element, which is, you know, if I have a flipping stick in my hand, you know, I'm happy, and I'm fishing the way I want to fish, and you know, it's 7.6 medium heavy, you know, 20-pound test sunline, um, you know, 4/0 VMC flipping hook, heavy duty flipping hook, snelled, 3/8 ounce weight, and in this case it was little woolly hog craw, green pumpkin, and depending on the watercolor and, you know, what the fish are feeding on, I'm either like dipping the tails orange or blue, one or the other, depending. And that was that setup. You know, 10-to-1 reel, flipping reel, and that's the setup. And that's, I mean, that's a constant. I have two of those rigged up identical in my boat at all times.
I feel that with me and my jigs. I've got two of my Douglas X Matrix 715Fs. So a little bit shorter, but I really like it. It's one of my favorite jig rods I've had in quite a while now. And they're identical. Okay, almost 15.5 pound Defiant heavy cover fluoro. But one has a Lew's Hyper Mag and the other one has the Lew's Elite TI reel.
Yeah,
So the Hyper
good.
Mag, I believe, is an 8.3 to 1, but the Elite TI actually I think is only a 7.5 to 1.
Mhm.
But you know, regardless, everything else is almost tit for tat, and love it. That's why I always have two rigged up and ready to go whenever I go out. But I'll live and die by a jig. We've done that hundreds of times, and I'll probably end up doing that up on Champlain next weekend myself.
Oh yeah, it's that's the other bait that I throw a lot too, is a jig. You know, like you guys, and just vary the trailer and the weight of the jig. Like, you know, when I was up there in pre-practice, that milfoil, that 8 to 9 foot milfoil,
Yeah,
a 3/8 ounce jig with a slimmer trailer was getting it done. And I had to use a 1/2 ounce jig with a little bit more of a trailer, and then I had to use a 3/4 ounce with a trailer that really had a lot of kick to it, and a lot of drag on the water to slow that down a little bit. But just had to keep increasing the weight of the jig, to account for the thickness of the grass.
yeah,
Yeah, it's really, you know, it's really come along. It really starts to thicken up quite a bit. And then again, sky conditions too. You know, if it's cloudy, you'll see them on top of the grass and around the grass, and you can get away with that lighter weight. And you know, if it's sunny, super sunny, or high pressure, then you got to get down into that grass. You know,
Yeah.
and most of the time, I'm flipping with that 20-pound fluoro, sunlight shooter, or in Vizex, something like that. You know,
Yep.
so you know, and then I'll occasionally go to braid, when it's super thick. When it's super thick, 50 to 65 pound test green braid on a 3/4 ounce jig, or 5/8 ounce bullet weight if it's a creature bait or something like that. You know, to get to them. You know, but you got to basically go through the motions and figure out what they want and how they want it.
yeah,
You know?
absolutely.
Yeah, up there.
It's funny you bring that up because I even if I'm like really kind of flipping through some thick grass, I try to stick with fluorocarbon as much as I can. I don't mind going to braid, but I just like to keep it easy. And I don't have that many rods set up with braid anyway. But I do have a swim bait rod that also doubles as a punching rod, and it's phenomenal. It's an 8-foot rod. heavy, extra fast. But it's rated 1/2 ounce to 3 ounces. And it's a custom built rod. It's the first one I ever got specifically for throwing bigger swim baits. But turns out it's also phenomenal for punching with a 2-ounce tungsten weight. And I was really hopeful. Like when we went up there, it was the Saturday after your event, and went up and trying just a bunch of different stuff. But we were like, well, hopefully we can go punch some grass mats while we're up there. Didn't find any, but I had everything with me, and I got a couple of baits that I don't even want to say anything about because they're really special. They're gonna go on that 8-foot flipping stick. And if the conditions prevail in a way that I hope they will for the BFL, or well, no, I shouldn't even say that. I really don't care which way it goes because I'm pretty confident, regardless of what the weather's going to do, I can go do what I want. But there's a part of me that selfishly wants the weather to go one very specific way so I can throw this one very specific bait, because if I can catch some fish on it, it's going to be the coolest damn thing. And I'm not doing it for the cool factor. It'll just be that much more enjoyable if I can put any fish on the scale at the end of the day and be able to point back this thing and be like, holy shit, that worked.
No, you'll have fun. Nothing else, you know.
Yeah.
But hopefully you get some big fish on it, you know.
Yeah, I mean it's in the swim bait territory of things. I'd be swinging for the fences, but I'm pretty sure this is something that nobody around here has been throwing.
Hey,
he knows what I'm talking about. So
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, you got to line the right 5 of them up, and that's the bait to do it. You know,
yeah,
that's how you win tournaments. That's how you win tournaments. I mean, if you're fishing for points, you fish differently, you know. But you fish to win. You know, you're fishing with your gut. You're fishing the baits you know are going to catch big fish. You know where they live. That's how you win. You know, so yeah, I'll do the same exact thing.
Yep.
You know, high risk, high reward. You know.
Yep.
The other bait that I caught a couple fish on was, you know, chatterbait. You know, jackhammer. You know, black blue. When I was fishing with Sammy, you know, and Kevin, you know, I fished in such a way that didn't really completely screw them, you know, as a co-angler, you know, because that can happen a lot, where boat position basically takes them out of the game, you know, and there's nothing, you know, for them to fish, and that can just be a long, miserable day, you know, like, you know, in spawn tournaments, certainly scoping, you know, that happens a lot, you know, so didn't want to do that to those guys, so fishing in such a way that they could also fish, and there was a line of milfoil where we were fishing as well. And, you know, I told Sammy, I said, you know what I've figured out, Sammy? He said, what's that? I go, fish swim. He said, yeah, you're just figuring that out? I said, well, I know it seems like they just magically appeared, you know, all these big fish, but they had to swim there. And this milfoil edge, I'm pretty sure that's what they're using to get there. And so I was throwing a black and blue jackhammer, and he was flipping. He's been working on his flipping game. He was flipping a black and blue jig. I caught a 498 on the chatterbait, and then he flipped and caught a 5.3.
Hell yeah.
Flipping, yeah, or black. Oh yeah, yeah. So so that worked out, you know, for sure. But that was the other bait. So that was you know, flipping the creature bait, and the jackhammer. You know,
nice.
the dockfish were like that stretch that only had 2-pounders on it. When I was positioned off to ways from the dock, and you know how the light gets just right and you can see under there.
Yep.
Absolutely loaded with bait. I mean, loaded, like stacked. And that's really, you know, the water level, the water clarity, that had a lot to do with it. You know, it just, those fish, when you go up like pre-practice and then you go up and look for those fish, they're not in 8 or 9 feet. They didn't go to 12 to 15. Where'd they go? They went shallow. What?
Yep.
Why? Water was up, was a little off color for Champlain, but the bait was there. You know, and then the longer the bait was there, the more chance, you know, big fish are gonna move in, and that's exactly what happened. And that was the key to the dock bite.
Nice.
Yeah. But yeah, it's nice when you can just keep a few rods in the deck and, you know, get dialed in like that, you know.
Yeah, just keep everything super simple, high confidence, and just keep rolling.
Yep. Yep. I mean, you can do well fishing docks on Champlain, but you gotta fish a lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them. And the thing is, if the wind blows, you can't fish a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm,
You can want to, but you just can't get there.
no.
Yep. So
All right. Well, I tell you what, Mark, this has been awesome, and I greatly appreciate you taking the time to share everything with us. And I hope everybody here that was listening enjoyed it thoroughly. I am in absolute agony, and I'm having even trouble just breathing without being in a lot of pain. I don't know what I did to my shoulder, but I'm dying over here. So let's wrap it up so I can go take Advil and find an ice pack. Take a moment, plug yourself, tell everybody about your sponsors, social media, everything, man. Floor's yours.
all right, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I could see that. It's yeah, that's
I'm in
bothering me.
agony.
Man,
This sucks.
I hope that
You may
could
have punched
before you
the
have to
other
go
one.
fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, trust me, I'm leaving Wednesday next week. If I don't get this sorted out before then, it's gonna be a long week.
Wow. Yeah, I hope that heals up for you.
Yeah.
But no, I appreciate the opportunity. Like we talked about in the beginning, the YouTube channel, Big East Bass Fishing with Mark Burgess. There's almost 500 videos there. Quite the library. All the Champlain videos are under the tab, under the playlist Champlain. So if you want to see from this specific tournament, right from that first day of practice where I drove for 9 hours and fished for 3.5, that's the first one all the way to the winning moment on the stage will be under that Champlain playlist. That'd be great. And if you could subscribe to it, that'd be phenomenal. I'd appreciate it. It's we didn't pick an easy genre really, to do this. It's a crowded field. There's a lot of information out there, but I'd appreciate it. Give it a subscribe. The Facebook, and Instagram. Again, it's Big East Bass Fishing, Mark Burgess. My sponsors, we get Ben's Tackle Shack here, Dan Kenny. Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
I'm here for him.
yeah. Oh, absolutely, yeah. If you have not been there, you need to go there. He's got the juice. He's got
Yes,
the
he
right
does.
stuff.
He's got
So,
everything.
and it's only going to get better. The website, you build it on that. That's only going to get better. I got Reynolds boats down in Lyme, Connecticut. I've been with them forever. I met them like 29 years ago, and changed my life really. So they've been great people to work with. For sure. I appreciate that. Plus all my friends, my family. Mass Bass Nation's great group of guys. Like I said, it's a place where it's highly competitive, but we're all really good friends. We push each other, to get better. It's every year the points race is just super tight, and anybody could be AOI. We got the last tournament coming up here on the Charles River, Boston, here in a couple of weeks, and looking forward to that. For sure, we have our state championship on Winnie this year too. So I'm looking forward to that. It's been a while since I fished a tournament up on Winnipesaukee, so another one of my favorite lakes to go to, as well. So so there you have it. Again, I appreciate this opportunity. I have so much respect for what you guys do. I don't know if you two sleep at all. I'm thinking not.
He sleeps just fine.
Does he?
No, I don't.
Wow. I mean, you guys you're either fishing, making content, or doing the content. I mean, I don't know what else you have time for, but you got a great product there. I love it. Enjoy it, and look forward to hanging out with you guys a lot longer.
Thank you very much, Mark. Greatly appreciate it.
Okay.
And thank
Okay.
you for coming on more than anything, because I'm assuming you were in high demand after that win. But I'm glad you're able to make the time for us and join us and share it with everybody else who's watching. Hopefully everybody here is listening, goes, follows him on all social media, especially subscribes to the channel. It's in the description, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook. It's pinned in the comments there. I'll make sure it's up there on the channel after this has gone live up there. So hopefully you get a lot of good traction over there.
Well, I appreciate it. I really do.
Very welcome, man.
All right,
All
you
right,
guys be
well,
good.
Thank you. And Andrew, do you think?
thanks again, Mark, for coming on. Next week, are we on next week?
Yes, I will be at Champlain, but we're gonna make it work.
We're gonna
so
stream from my house and you up there.
yes,
Okay, so
and
we will
figure out
be
Dennis
here,
in the mix in there somewhere.
we will be here next week at 8:00 p.m. Eastern at youtube.com/@ReelNorthernBass.
There it
And
is.
we'll see you guys next week.
Have a great night, everybody.